Hey guys, welcome into another edition of Fantasy Football Academy 2020. I'm the Dean, your host, and today we're talking team building. So look, I know we got a lot of stuff going on right now in the world, but we're using fantasy football to kind of escape for a little bit. For the adults doing this, we really don't get that day before that Christmas Eve feel. So this is about as close as we can get, kind of get that anticipation of the draft coming up. So we're going to dive right in. I'm not really big on stats here, guys, and you're not going to be hit with a lot of stats. You're not going to be hit with a lot of facts or a lot of figures to kind of sway you one way or another. What I like to do here is I like to do what I call the eyeball test. Look at a player, look at the situation around that player, that environment that he's in, and see if he has an opportunity to succeed in fantasy football. Now, remember, success in real football does not necessarily translate to fantasy. It doesn't matter in fantasy if they win or lose. It's just how they perform individually. So with that said, I'm going to look back. I looked back over 2019, and I was curious, what were the projections last year versus the reality, or at least the fantasy reality? I saw the projections last year. Here are the top 10 quarterbacks for 2019 projections. So these are guys who the experts thought were going to finish in the top 10. You had Patrick Mahomes, legit, okay? Deshaun Watson, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield at 6. You remember all the hype for the Browns last year? Yeah, the experts bought into it. Jared Goff, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz. That's your top 10. Now, we all know that there was no Lamar Jackson in the projection. Dak Prescott was an obvious, leave out. So what was the actual top 10 finishers for fantasy at the quarterback position? Here's the real top 10 as they finished. In order, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and yes, it pains me to say a Cowboy finished second. Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes at 8, Carson Wentz at 9, and Aaron Rodgers at 10. That means that half of all the quarterbacks projected to go in the top 10 didn't make it. So you had Drew Brees that didn't finish in the top 10, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. All these guys did not finish in the top 10. Now, Rivers, bad play, Drew Brees, and you might be thinking, how did Drew Brees, who had Michael Thomas, not finish in the top 10? Well, he missed a few games, guys. Remember, he missed like 5 games where Teddy Bridgewater came in and subbed out for him. So you have injury. Jared Goff, absolutely horrible year last year, fantasy-wise, okay? Did not finish where he was going to go, where everyone thought he was going to. Baker Mayfield, it was Cleveland, guys. Come on. Don't trust Cleveland. So what about running backs? Well, here's the running backs in order for projections. Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, James Conner, Joe Mixon, David Johnson, and Leonard Fournette. In this scenario, 7 of the top running backs also were projected to go top 10 that didn't finish top 10. The only ones who finished top 10 was Christian McCaffrey at 1, Zeke at 4, and Saquon Barkley, who was your projected number 1, finishing at number 10, barely making the top 10, guys. What does this show? This shows that experts really don't know any more than you or I do. Okay? The eyeball test is really all you need, guys. Yeah, you can look at stats, you can look at figures, you can look at things like that. And I actually watched another YouTube channel where we had a case for running back, and guys were throwing out stats and going, "Oh, he's this and he's that, and he's going to go ballistic. He's going to be a beast and a monster and all this stuff." And it made sense when you looked at it from a statistical point of view. But then I heard the exact same argument on another YouTube channel for the opposite happening, that this guy was going to fall off the map, that there was no way that you should draft him. And again, look, just based off statistics, it made sense. So how do we cut through the confusion of what player to draft when what you have to do is you have to take talent and opportunity to get your reward? Okay? So if he has the talent, if you know a player has talent, okay, Alvin Kamara has talent. Does he have opportunity above another player? Put him up against Derrick Henry, which they're going pretty much the same in a lot of mock drafts. You have Alvin Kamara going 4, and in some of them you have Derrick Henry going 4. Who has the better opportunity? Ironically, Derrick Henry's going to have a better opportunity than Alvin Kamara. Why? Because there's only one other receiver in the Titans offense that is going to be taking away from Derrick Henry's production. Okay? They are a run-first based offense, as opposed to New Orleans, who spread the ball all over the place. They just brought in Emmanuel Sanders. They still have Jared Cook. They've still got Taysom Hill. And like I've said before, signing Jameis Winston is the worst thing that could have happened for Alvin Kamara, because now Taysom Hill can still be used as that Swiss Army knife gadget player that vultures touchdowns from Alvin Kamara. Okay, they get on the 5-yard line, 10-yard line, they're deep in the red zone, and they line up. You've got Alvin Kamara in the backfield, you got Taysom Hill in the slot, or you got Taysom Hill at quarterback, and he just winds up running it in. When he should just, typically, if it was going to be Drew Brees in there, he just handed it off to Alvin Kamara, and Alvin Kamara would run in, boom, you got your touchdown. But that's not how New Orleans plays. Okay, you've got to look at the environment that the player is in order to make a good decision. Okay, so with that said, and let's touch on wide receivers just for a second, just to kind of give you a sneak peek into what the projections were last year. 6 out of the top 10 wide receivers fell out of the top 10. Here are their names: Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen, and Stephon Diggs, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Odell. Now, Odell and Juju, bad quarterback play. Diggs and Thielen got hurt. Diggs just got lost. Devontae Adams, Packers went from a throw-first offense to a run-first offense, okay? And they got an upgrade for defense. You heard Aaron Rodgers in the first couple of weeks, we got a defense now, end quote. So with that said, you got to look at the eyeball. Look, just open your eyes, guys. Look at the situation around the players, and you can be able to make a good, reasonable decision about who to take and when, and above who. So, might be asking yourself, what is the most valuable position in fantasy football? If you're new with this, I'm going to tell you right now, running back, the running back position is by far the most valuable across the board in fantasy football. Why? Wide receivers don't run. Okay, unless it's a trick play, they're not going to be running the ball. However, running backs will catch the ball out of the backfield. So you've got both running and catching in running backs that adds to their value. Running backs get the ball more. Okay, you're not going to see Michael Thomas last year. He set a record, NFL record. He had like 183 targets. That means they threw the ball to him 183 times. He was an awesome wide receiver. He was the best in football. Now, let's turn that around. Everyone go look at Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde is horrible. Okay? There's no reason for him to be on your roster. Okay? But last year, he had 250 plus touches. That means this man got the ball 250 times. So that's going to be 50 plus more than the best wide receiver. And this guy isn't even a good running back. He was just on a team that ran the ball a lot. Now you've got David Johnson in that position to take over those vacated carries. What's going to happen? Guess what, guys? DJ's going to ball out. Yeah, he might be getting up there. He might have lost a step. But regardless, you give the man the ball 220 times. There's going to be production there. Okay? So when you're doing your draft, when you're building your team, you must weigh risk versus reward. Remember that. Risk versus reward. If you're taking a player rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, there should be a very low risk, high reward in that position. As you get deeper in the rounds, you're gonna have those guys who are what we call boom or bust. Okay, that's when I talked in mock draft episodes before, when we did mock drafts, I was telling you, take a shot, take a flyer on guys later in the rounds. Okay, when you get in rounds 10, 11, 12, rounds like that, when you already have your lineup set, go ahead, take a flyer on a rookie running back, take a flyer on a rookie wide receiver that's in a good position, like Jerry Jeudy, like CeeDee Lamb, like Justin Jefferson. Now, with the CeeDee Lamb comment, I'm going to tell you right now, there's 2 other receivers ahead of him you might want to lay off. In Minnesota with Jefferson only has Thielen ahead of him. Thielen got hurt last year. What does that mean? That means that Justin Jefferson is in a prime location with a phenomenal quarterback that's extremely accurate, one of the most accurate in the league, and he's going to step into the Stephon Diggs role. And if Thielen goes down, look for Jefferson to be beast. Okay, he is going to be absolutely #phenomenal. Okay, in that offense, especially if Dalvin Cook holds out, and then they have to go to Alexander Madison. Now, Madison can more than adequately fill in for Dalvin Cook until this whole contract business gets settled. Even if he wants to sit out the whole season, Alexander Madison is definitely a running back that I am definitely targeting in my drafts. Okay, every single mock draft I've done, I have tried to target Alexander Madison. Okay. Now, when you're looking for risk versus reward, as I said, you find your reward when you get talent plus opportunity is going to equal your reward. It's going to be, like I said before, David Johnson. And then you can just pick any of the rookie wide receivers. Henry Ruggs in Vegas. Jerry Jeudy with Drew Lock. Okay, you got a second-year quarterback coming into his own. He's kind of got a little feel. He had a little chemistry going on last year with Noah Fant and Cortland Sutton. Now, Sutton's going to be number 1. Judy's going to be number 2. Then there's going to be Noah Fant. Their running back core is just crazy full. They've got 3 guys. This is the epitome of a committee in Denver. So we'll lay off of all Denver running backs. I'm going to say it one more time. No Denver running backs. That means no Melvin Gordon, no Phillip Lindsay, no Royce Freeman, okay? Lay off of them. There's not going to be enough production to go around, especially with a young quarterback that likes to throw and run, okay? So that's how we find opportunity. That's how we find reward talent plus opportunity. With what it's looking like right now, we're looking at no preseason. Okay, this is what is being desired by the players. They already voted on it. They sent in the recommendation that there be no preseason because of COVID-19. They don't want the exposure. It's just a money grab anyway for the owners. I think when all this gets settled, if we get one preseason game out of this, you'll be lucky. I think that they're going to stay with training camp. They're just going to stay together. There might be some scrimmages that are scheduled, as there always are, but that'll be the extent of it. Now, what does this mean for fantasy football? What this means is that your rookies who you think might come in and surpass the veteran in front of them, they're going to have a longer time to get going, especially running backs. There's a belief right now that in Indianapolis, you're going to have Jonathan Taylor taking Marlon Mack's spot. Now, Taylor's going ahead of Marlon Mack in a lot of mock drafts. He's actually being projected to be the starter, but he's going to have to win that in training camp. He's not going to be able to show what he's doing in a preseason game. So that might hurt him. Swift up in Denver is expected to take Kerryon Johnson's place. You have Zach Moss in Buffalo, who's expected to take Devin Singletary's place. Now, these guys are going to be hurt by no preseason because they're going to have to win this job in training camp. Some of them might not be able to do it, and if they do, it might take them a couple of games. So right out of the box, you're not going to want to depend on these guys because they're not going to be trustworthy in your first couple of weeks. Now, if you have a gut feeling, if you think that these guys are going to just beast out and just go bananas, then by all means, go for it. I'm a big believer in gut feelings. I had a gut feeling about Lamar Jackson last year. I got him in the 10th round. If this was a keeper league, I would have been able to have Lamar Jackson as my starting quarterback this year, and I would only lose my 10th pick. Not bad. Okay. Like I said, you're going to want to lower your expectations of rookie running backs. Now, these rookie wide receivers that I've mentioned, CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, those guys, they are going to be kind of the exception to the rule. They are going to be able, a lot of them are stepping into second, wide receiver number 2, with the exception of maybe CeeDee Lamb. Lamb's actually stepping into a wide receiver 3 position on what could be a very potent offense, especially since Dak has the contract negotiation going on. He wants to get paid. Congrats to Pat Mahomes, $500 million man, the $500 million man. So, he went out and got paid. He got his 10-year extension. Don't look for that in Dallas. Everybody's there. A lot of them are pointing to Andy Dalton going, hey, we'll take Andy Dalton. We don't need to pay Dak. We don't need to pay. You're crazy. Okay. Dak's a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. And yes, it pains me to admit anything good about the Cowboys, but Dak is a better quarterback. Andy Dalton is a serviceable quarterback in that position. If you don't want to pay Dak, okay, that's on you. You paid your wide receiver, you paid your running back. You might as well go ahead and pay your quarterback as well. especially since that's going to be the most important position for you going forward. But I'm not the one writing the check. So, Jerry, on behalf of Washington Nation, hey, go ahead. Don't pay Dak. We'll take Andy Dalton. I'll take that. Everybody's going to be looking at ADP. Okay, remember, ADP means average draft position. So when you're doing your mock draft and you're trying to build your team, do not, I'm going to repeat this, do not use ADP to pick your players. Use it strictly as a tool, and you can use it against your teammate, against your league mates, okay? Your league mates, if you can hone in on what they're doing, look at the draft board after about the first 2-3 rounds, because the average NFL fan, the casual fantasy football fan, is going to know all the big names. They're going to know all the, the Dak Prescotts. They're going to know the Zeke Elliott. They're going to know Julio Jones. They're going to know Saquon. They're going to know Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. They're going to know all these big names. But when it gets down to it, when you start looking at the rookies, when you start looking at the mid-range guys, the mid-tier guys, they're not going to know who's who and what's what, okay? They're going to be relying on the ADP to make their selection. Don't do that, okay? Because the ADP does not take into consideration what the situation is around that player, okay? Some of these guys, you got Big Ben, sometimes not even being drafted. Are you kidding me? This guy does nothing but throw the ball, okay? He's going to throw for about, if he stays healthy, he's going to throw for about, 45 to 5,000 yards, okay? It's going to be nuts. Kirk Cousins, again, very accurate quarterback, has a stable full of wide receivers. He's going to go crazy in fantasy football, but his ADP is really, really low. So when you're targeting guys, when you're looking at players, you don't want to rely on your ADP. You can use it against league mates who don't know any better, who aren't watching this show. Guys, down bottom, if you haven't done it, if you're watching this video, take a second, go down, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell, okay? Smash the thumbs up for me, okay? Listen, I'm no better than you guys are, okay? My opinion does not carry any more weight than what your gut feeling does. The only difference is I'm able to step back a second, look at this, use my years and actually decades of experience going over fantasy football and learning from my mistakes, trying to show you guys what not to do. I've done the mistakes I'm going to be talking about. I've done. I've used ADP before. I've gone into drafts where I didn't have a backup for my backup. Okay, and that's the things that I want to talk to you guys about, that I'm going to bring to light. I want you guys to look for opportunity in later rounds, when you get rounds 7, 8, 9, okay, and you're like, well, I got my running back, got my 2 running backs, got 3 wide receivers, got a tight end. Guys, what are you doing taking a tight end before the 8th round? Unless it's Kelsey or Kittle or Mark Andrews, lay off. And yes, I left Zach Ertz out on purpose because Dallas Goedert is going to take away from some of his production. All right, guys. I want you guys to try to recognize, like I said, try to recognize when other players are using ADP to make their selection. When you can recognize that, when you see that happening, you can see who's going next, okay? Let's try to target 2 or 3 different players for each of the first, let's say, 4 or 5 rounds, okay? That way you have a backup to your backup. If, let's say, you're picking 6th, okay, and you have to make a decision. Nobody's taking Julio at that point, and for whatever reason, Derrick Henry falls to you. Now, you know dang right well that Julio Jones probably won't make it back to you if you let him go. However, the better production, the better value at that point is going to be Derrick Henry. Okay? Let's say that Alvin Kamara falls to you at 6, and you have to make that choice. Again, if Alvin Kamara is there, you're getting a workhorse running back with a high upside. He was dinged up last year, so that led to his decline. There will be a progression. I know I talk a lot about regression with top-ranked players, but there's going to be a progression for Alvin Kamara. They're going to get him back in the field of things. They might have used Taysom Hill a little more than they normally would have. He's still going to vulture some touches and some touchdowns, but Alvin Kamara, now healthy, is going to be a better value pick in the first round than Julio. Let Julio slide. Okay, let him go. Come back. If you're picking at the 6, you have a really hard decision to make. You're going to have to go. If you go running back, you're going to lose out on some receivers. Okay. Now, here's what you can probably do. 9 times out of 10, take Kamara. You can probably come back and pick up Galladay. Okay. If you're in a 10-man league. If you're in a 12-man league, sorry, Galladay is probably going to be gone. Okay. But when you come back around, look and see who's available and make your decision then. I'm not going to make it for you. I can just give you advice. Okay. Now, if you're picking toward the end of the draft or at the very beginning of the draft, so you're talking picks, let's say 1, 2, or 3, and let's go just with a 12-man league. If you're picking 1, 2, or 3, or 8 through 12, you're going to have to reach for players. And when I say reach, here's what I mean. If you are in the first part of the round, you're in pick 2. If you want Lamar Jackson, if you don't take him in the second round and the number 1 pick does not take him on the turn. When I say the turn, I mean when you go from round 2 to round 3, when the number 1 pick has back-to-back picks, and then you've just got 1 pick between the second round and the third round, you've got 2 picks to dodge. Okay, you have the first place teams second into the second round pick and their first pick of the third round. Then it's back to you. You're going to have to take either Lamar or Pat Mahomes in the third round, or they won't be there, because then you're going to have to wait for the entire rest of the third round, and then it's going to come back around to you at 4. That's a long time. Don't expect Mahomes or Jackson to be there in the 4th round. Okay, 4th round, you're looking at Kyler Murray. Okay, if you want a quarterback that early. Again, unless it's Mahomes or Jackson, lay off. You can get value later. Okay. Let's see. Finally, we're going to leave you on this note. I want you to go into every draft. I want you to look at what your opportunity is, your risk versus reward, and most importantly to remember is take what the draft gives you. Okay? If the draft gives you wide receiver, and then you can get running back, that's what happens. It's what happened to me last year. Last year, my draft went like this. First round, I took DeAndre Hopkins. Second round, I got Michael Thomas, and I was drafting seven in a 10-man league. Okay, given my boy D Money did me a solid and took Drew Brees with the 6th pick. So I had D-Hop sitting there. I didn't think I was going to be able to get him at last year because he was ranked so high. I thought he was going to be gone by the time he got to me. But he wasn't. I went ahead, took D-Hop. The way the draft fell, I was able to get Michael Thomas on after that. My 3rd round pick was Travis Kelce. It was crazy. Okay, Travis Kelce was going in the 2nd round last year. So when I came back around, Chris Carson was there. Took Chris Carson. I got Austin Eckler in the 5th. Okay, so I was able to do it later on in the year. I made a trade. I got Austin Eckler, Melvin Gordon. I played both of them at the same time. I don't recommend that for the running back by committee, but the way that the Chargers were running last year, it worked out beautiful. It was great. I actually wound up giving up Chris Carson right before he got the dropsies, so everything worked out. But I took what the draft gave me. That's what I want you guys to take away. Take what the draft gives you. Have a backup for your backup so you're not hitting the panic button, okay? Guys, I want us to take the panic button, okay? Now, normally the panic button is a big red button, right? Okay, so here's your big red button, okay? Throw it away, okay? Just don't even worry about hitting the panic button at all this year. You got me. I'm here for you, guys. This is the Dean Fantasy Football Academy 2020. We're going to graduate you at the head of the class, okay? We're going to give you the tools. We're going to give you the advice. So down bottom, if you have questions, if you have concerns, hey, if you like what I'm doing, if there's something else that I could be doing, guys, hit me up. This is my first year doing the advice for YouTube, okay? But like I said, I've been playing fantasy football since before there was this kind of stuff, okay? I had to rely on my magazines. I had to rely on watching Sports Center. There wasn't computers around when I did this, okay? Guys, I'm 45, fixing to turn 46. Been around a minute, okay? I've got the experience. I've made the mistakes. Learn from my mistakes, okay, guys? Have a backup for your backup. Take what the draft gives you. Above all, have fun. Now, I know that there's a lot of concern out there for this COVID, for the coronavirus going on. Guys, we need to do our part. We need to be responsible, not only to us, but to our fellow human beings that are out there, our fellow citizens. So if you're going out, if you're going to work, remember, if you don't feel well, stay home. I know a lot of us are working from home. I myself do not have a job where I can work from home. It's kind of hard. But when I do go in, I do have a mask. I do wear gloves. That's just the job that I work. I work restaurants. So I'm a cook by trade, fantasy footballer by choice. Okay. So when you're going out, remember, just because you might feel safe, just because you might think that your immune system can handle it, there are those out there that we may come in contact with that don't have the immune system, okay? My wife is one. My wife does not have a strong immune system due to a battle with cancer, so we mask up whenever we go out. If you go to the gym, guys, wipe down your machines. I belong to Cajun Fitness in Rain, and I'm telling you right now, when you go out, wipe down. They do a phenomenal job supplying you with disinfectant to sterilize the equipment that you're on. Look, when you're going to the store, when you're going out, guys, all I gotta say, mask up. Okay, boom, easy peasy. Okay. As always, God bless America. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. And remember, take what the draft gives you. Have fun. Above all, have fun, guys. This has been the Dean for Fantasy Football Academy 2020. We'll see you soon. And just hold on. Don't go just yet. We've got a very special guest coming Saturday. A very special episode coming out. Don't miss it. Tune in. Subscribe, like, share. Fantasy Football Academy 2020. This has been the Dean. I'm out of here. You guys have a good day, and let's take care of each other.